Welcome to Curious Conversations with Tally and Sarah.
We sit down and chat with business owners, entrepreneurs, and some of the best conversation starters.
This is a podcast about real life lessons and people doing cool shit. Pana, welcome to Curious Conversations.
Well, thank you for having me here, and great to see you again as well after so many years of connecting back in Bikram days. And it was fantastic. But no, it's great to reconnect. And I think when I saw the name come up, I think we're both not sure if we were the same person, but no, it was good. It was good to reconnect.
Definitely we are. I was saying to Sarah, we were just saying off air, when I was researching you, I'm like, I know Pana from somewhere, and I could not put my finger on it. And yes, we used to do Bikram together, so that's how we know you. But wow, that was a long time ago, and your business is absolutely thriving, and you've all probably heard of Pana Chocolate. But can you just give us a little rundown of, like your upbringing and how you got into where the Pana world?
Yeah. Look, I had a fantastic upbringing. I had migrant parents from Europe, where lots of love, not a lot of money, but a lot of love, and food was never a chore for mum, and dad always was out tendering to garden. He's 81 now, and he's still tendering the garden and loves his organic. So sort of grew up in that space, loving food, a really great appreciation for food and nature as well, with all the gardening that we did. And God, I had to be there. Dad was planting onions or lettuce. I had to be there behind him, drip the water on there so I won't bury them and all the rest of it. So just sort of organically just grew up in that space, had my hands in the earth, which I absolutely appreciate more now as an adult than I did it back then when I was a teenager. So from that, it evolved to sort of, being self-employed. But probably in the early years of, I went out being self-employed at 21, not really knowing why I was doing it. Mm-hmm. I knew a bit of personal work. I traced it back to, I think, between 5 and 8 years old. I made the decision that I was going to work for myself because mum and dad were working class, and money was always a bit of a conversation point at home. So I remember seeing someone actually close to where I live that they had a lot of money. I think, they work for themselves, I'm going to have a lot of money. Not always the case, but leave that probably for another day conversation. But so I knew I wanted to become self-employed. But in my 20s, when I went out on my own, I did a lot of things, but not really understanding, just more chasing the money rather than doing what I love. Though I was in the food, but I was doing it with a different lens, I suppose. It wasn't until I sort of hit my 30s that I realised, I've got to change some things up. I've made a little bit of money, but I still don't feel as fulfilled. And that's when, I had a commercial kitchen that I used to work with some universities, and I had a bit of space, and I thought, I've got some time here, and I didn't know what the next chapter looked like. And I remember I watched the movie Chocolat on a Thursday night. And then on the Sunday, I just started playing around with some essential oils and understanding, the frequency that they work in. And I'd gone and seen some friends on that Sunday. And that Sunday, she put a raw chocolate in my hands. And instantly, as soon as I touched this chocolate, I'm going to make chocolate.
Yeah.
And from that, I researched, and I wasn't actually vegan or plant-based at that stage, but I knew I was transitioning because I got a great relationship with food. I'd only slow cook food. So when I did cook meat, back then, when I used to consume it, I'd be cooking it in a wood-fired oven for 2 or 3 hours.
Beautiful.
Or if I did get some meat, I knew where it come from. So I knew I was transitioning into that plant-based. I thought, okay, I want to make chocolate, but I want to make it a little bit different to what everyone else is doing it. And did the research, jumped on a plane, went to Europe, went to the UK, worked with a raw foodie back then. And that's probably aligned with the days that Bikram was firing.
What year is this? Like, so this is 2012?
No, a bit earlier actually.
Okay.
2010, we're talking 2011.
Yeah, that's it was before the boom of like
raw desserts
vegan.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we just sort of, I didn't even know what raw was until sort of that sort of came into the fold, and you start researching it. I would definitely have 2 out of my 3 meals a day were raw back then as well. Personally, I just really felt it. Felt its energy and the way it worked. But they just went to Belgium for a couple of days as well, and that was just another level again. When you've got a young 20-year-old, I wasn't, I was definitely older, but he's got this massive cacao plant tattooed
Tattoo.
on his head.
Wow.
You know, there's the passion that exists
Passion,
there. You know,
wow.
so and that was probably the most, in my working life, that still resonates as probably one of those big pivotal moments. As that passion that goes into
Yeah.
it. So I came back and locked myself away for about 6 months. Made chocolate, delivered on the Vespa. I had a Vespa back then. And I made a lot of friends happy because they were sampling a lot of the chocolates. The rest, I suppose, is history,
Yeah.
as a very cliche. But just knew that I wanted to go sort of national pretty quick, even though I started as part-time and I wanted to do something that I enjoyed. And I think it was we launched in July 2012 in Victoria. And then by September, we were national.
Wow.
In a matter of like
2 months. Yeah.
Wow.
That's crazy.
I felt there was a space in the market at that stage, and then
Definitely.
just having some years of experience, it's like, how did you grow that quick? It's not just as a brand. It's the decade I had before with experience in working in similar industries, in similar
knowledge
spaces.
had filled up in like a jar already.
Exactly. So you could see there was a void in that space, and there was another brand at that stage, and they were like, I think $4.75 for the same size. Yeah. And I came in at $6.50 because I knew that the quality ingredients and what I wanted to play with, and it didn't affect the market at all. We quickly grew to one of the.
To scale that quickly, did you go to a distributor? Did a distributor come to you?
Yeah, no, I hunted distributors.
Yeah.
I didn't even know. I remember talking about understanding. I didn't understand FMCG or that space at all, but I just
for people that don't know FMCG, what it stands
fast moving consumable goods.
Yeah.
And I remember the first lot of packaging. I thought, okay, I'm launching 6 chocolate bars. What are they? Which one's going to sell best?
Yeah.
No idea.
Yeah.
So I remember we had this beautiful, and my first graphic designer that I used, her name was Portia, a beautiful soul up from Queensland, and we created this amazing packaging. So we just wanted those who are familiar with the 45-gram box. It's just the charcoal box, but we just this beautiful craft paper.
Yeah.
But it was just an embossed logo with a sleeve. Of course, it looked fantastic texturally when you touched it, but put it on the shelf, you can't see nothing. You can't read the brand name. Again, learning. It's like, well, it looks fantastic, but when you're in situ, it's like, oh, yeah. So you quickly pivot, and then the learnings. But we sold through those 12,000 units pretty quickly, which was.
So how many SKUs did you have? Just 6? And
6 was at the
what
launch.
were those 6 flavors?
Oh, geez, no, you're gonna remember. No, I can remember them pretty
Yeah.
easy. Like we had mint, which is still probably.
Oh, that's my favorite.
It's almost the same. Literally, the recipe is almost still identical to when we first started. Orange, nut, goji, and coconut. There's all the rays of goji berries. Remember goji berries?
Is hazelnut new?
Hazelnut is new.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites.
There was the lucuma, which really was pulverizing. It was lucuma being
there's a powder.
It's the powder. It was sort of like a version of a white caramel one that we had, but I found that quite pulverizing. Sort of people identified the rest of the brand with that. So if they didn't like it, they sort of put us. We dropped that pretty quick. Now you got me. Which one have I missed?
Was it like just a plain? Plain?
60%.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, no,
I'm thinking
unreal.
what would consumers like plain? Yeah.
It was the base recipe.
Yeah.
Really, it was the base, sort of what we call the original, and that. So so it's just.
It's amazing. Yeah.
I was reading somewhere. Now I can obviously go to a supermarket and buy a Pana Chocolate, but initially you knocked back the supermarkets.
Yeah, it was. Look, to touch base earlier, you have all these years of experience, and you deal with bigger companies, and there's the upside and there's the challenging side, and we wanted to position ourselves as a brand in the marketplace and establish ourselves well in that space. I think at that time as well, a lot of organic and health food stores were popping up, and what I found, they were the best ambassadors.
Yeah.
You'd walk into a store and you'd have the operators behind the console, and they'd be talking about the brands that they've just put in their stores. So that was fantastic, and we really played well in that space for a long time. But then what we found is the market moved. The market moved.
In what way?
A lot more competition. how do we say this diplomatic? The major supermarkets caught up.
They improved the SKUs, yeah.
You could see them at a lot of the events and in that space. They really caught on to that there is a better for you category and areas. And I think there was the macro brand that Woolworths bought, for example, and stuff like that. So they knew where it was going. And so where a lot of the smaller stores remain small, back in those early days, and I think we were all part of it and still are, we were happy to go and do a little bit of shopping and then finish wherever else we needed to. The world has evolved in that sense where everyone wants to do a one-stop shop.
Yeah.
And some of the smaller footprint organic health food stores, they, started with Hessian bags and crates on the wall. They didn't evolve.
Yeah.
And you could see it wasn't really moving. It became pretty steady. And then competition started creeping up within that space. So, with our great ambassadors, still promoting you, but they're promoting 2 or 3 other brands.
Yeah.
So we made the decision to go across into big box and big major supermarkets, which great for the business. Probably not as great timing and how we managed it. Probably as a big lesson for the business, because to me that original community is where we started. I'm so grateful for it. We could have probably handled that a little bit better from experience.
Yeah. What year did you go into Woolworths?
Jeez, now you're really going to test me. I think it was 17.
Oh.
2017, I think, or 18. 17 with the chocolate, 45-gram chocolate.
Yeah.
It was Coles first, then Woolworths the year after. And then we launched the frozen desserts in that space because in 2012 and 13, we had, 13, 14, we had retail stores. So playing in that role, we launched a couple of raw vegan dessert stores, and that's where I brought you an older book that recipe book that we'd I had a couple of chefs because I was involved in cafes, and Amber, she was amazing. She'd come across and really helped us develop a couple of retail stores that we had, one in Melbourne and one in Sydney, and since from that we launched a recipe book.
Yeah. When you go into these big stores, how do you protect your brand identity? Like there's so many other brands there. Do you go into Woolworths and like straighten up the chocolates when you go in there? Like how do you protect it?
How do you market to the general consumer? Well, how do you market vegan, gluten-free, sugar-free, plant-based chocolate?
It is, I mean, to answer your first question, always bring it forward. You
always bring I'm going to go in there now and I'm going to straighten it up.
Nudge a few of the other. No. Definitely not. And then I touched on it earlier. It's completely different marketing.
Yeah.
Because in an independent store, the stores or the brands stand out a lot more. There's less competition. There's less yellow tickets. There's less. It's everything stands on its own. People are shopping, so they're generally looking for something in the better for you space, picking up the box or the packaging and looking at the back. In the bigger supermarkets, you sort of got to market before the consumer comes in, so they look for you because you're competing so much down the aisle. And so, fortunately enough, we were in the better for you space. So generally, people will look for it. But our frozen dessert, for example, it's in all the normal aisles. But then you got to work it a lot more from a marketing perspective. You evolve, with editorials and above the line campaigns, collaborations everywhere you can get the brand because just you want that. You literally got 2 or 3 seconds when someone's walking past your product, and you need them to identify the brand and hopefully grab your product and put it in their basket.
What's been the hardest? I find when we speak to a lot of business owners, scaling is like very hard. Yeah. What's been the hardest part of scaling? Would it be going back to dropping off the smaller stores and having to not dropping off, but focusing on the Woolworths? What do you reckon? And Coles, what do you think the hardest part of scaling would be?
Oh, look, the hardest challenge for us has been working with some co-manufacturers.
Okay.
We own and develop all our own recipes and all our own products. We have our own manufacturing for our, especially the chocolate and the spreads. That's all kept in-house. Our biggest challenge has been where we work with, frozen dessert companies. Won't drop any names, but that's been our biggest challenge because the bigger they are, the less parameters to pivot. We're still relatively small, though we might seem bigger. We feel that we still are small. We need to pivot sometimes. and there's not as flexible, and or if we get some of our forecasting incorrect, over forecast, under forecast, you sort of, you touched on before, cash flow, over forecast, you got too much stock, you under forecast, you're missing deliveries, so it's all those challenges.
You mentioned in your eyes you're a small business still. Can you give us some rough numbers, like a number of units you probably do of chocolate a year, or to give people the scale of what Pana is?
Yeah, look, we would be nudging that million units per year across all products.
That's insane. Yeah. And the fact that you guys are still hand making the chocolate and the chocolate spreads here in Coburg,
yes, all in Coburg,
insane. Like that, when we were doing research, I'm like, it's literally made with love, and you can taste that when you eat it. Like it's.
We've still got 3 of our original 5 staff members,
wow.
which are absolutely gorgeous souls, and they're still in there. They love them. You walk in there and they're always smiling.
Aww.
So
yeah, I mean, I'd be smiling too if I was making and eating chocolate every day.
And you're still CEO, co-CEO?
Co-CEO. I don't like the finance part of the business.
Yeah, don't think anyone does.
So sort of, I very cliche again, but sort of I wanted to shift the way I worked, and then to me, I want to do something that I love and passionate, and food is that. To me, I touched on earlier, Mum, great relationship with food, and it was never a task. Like there would be a spread full of food on the table, thinking, who's coming? Oh no, it's just us. So much food, right? So to me, I wanted to carry that on when I sort of re-looked at how I was going to approach working for myself. And so I wanted to have that extension of me with what I make and share with people and watch their expression and see that joy. Then we got larger.
Yeah.
Then I had to manage a whole level of items and areas that I wasn't experienced with.
How did that make you feel? Was it like you don't seem like someone that gets overly stressed? As 2 people sitting here are like in one of their businesses, like, how do you deal with those overwhelming situations?
Look, there's the fun part of it where it's nothing new. I'm learning something new.
Yeah.
Marketing, I never, the word marketing, but the different 20 different areas within marketing, and it's like bringing on people on board, learning from them, then guiding them what you'd like. Sometimes people move on. Next person comes on, brings another level of experience or different areas. I don't know. I'm one that I don't think about it too much. I just get in there and do it. But it gets heavy at times, and especially the cash flow part of it. Inventory, managing that stock, all those areas. So, it had probably the last 5 years has been quite turbulent in comparison to the first sort of, it's 8 or 9 years. But you just soldier on and cope and hopefully reset and say, okay, you can't do that again. If you do it twice, you're doing something wrong.
You didn't learn anything right.
Yeah.
How do you, this is the fun part of the conversation, how do you innovate and make new flavors? And is that something that you take care of, or do you have a team that does that?
Yeah, I've sort of got back into that NPD, and that's what I like. I enjoy, getting creative, working, obviously, not only with plant-based, but I decided to go down the gluten-free path, which, again, limits a lot of the areas, more about where we're going cross-category. But just there's old classics that I like to reinvent. We'd like to put our own twist on it, having that European background, drinking espressos only. I like my nuts medium to high roasted versus light roast. So hopefully some of those flavors come through. So just a lot of work, and love being creative with the different flavors and the different cross categories.
Yeah. You were speaking some of mine and Tully's language before when you spoke about frequency. I think it was with the mint one you said about frequency of the oils.
Yes.
Can you explain to someone listening, say the mint one that you're talking about, what do you mean by the frequency that the peppermint has and then the chocolate has?
Yeah, look, it was interesting because that was really early on in the days, and all I remember is I started making a lot of, mint went to number 1 pretty quick.
Yeah.
So when I was playing with chocolate, and it was all organic, plant-based. And I remember sitting I was in Port Melbourne at the first facility that we had, and I had the bowl. I just mixed the chocolate, and the chocolate it was talking to me. And then I'm just sort of getting, so goosebumps. Remember putting myself back in that space, and then you're adding the oil. This thing was just like you could just feel it. You can feel its energy. You can feel it in every way. It was actually detox me. I was using so much.
You were
mint.
inhaling it.
I was inhaling it.
Yeah.
I was topically touching it as well. I was like, and I felt it. It was cleansing me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow. So you just knew that it just worked on a high frequency.
I love that. Do you see any trends at the moment within the chocolate space or like health and wellness? There's a lot of trends adding mushroom powders and like all that stuff to some things like that. Do you see a trend?
Oh, there's always trends.
We love this. We go to America a lot and we'll go to like your Air One and stuff and we're like, okay, we
want to do this. We want to do that.
We were in those stores for a while.
No way.
We were actually.
Oh my gosh.
Went through a period of, stroking the ego and sending a lot of stuff overseas with no marketing support.
Oh yes, that's hard.
That's a good way. Like, let's discuss that. Because we've all done that. We've all been there.
Yeah,
are you? I thought before. Are you overseas?
We were. I mean, when you mentioned the dates, we were quite early on in what we were doing.
Yeah.
And especially out of Europe, we had a lot of requests. So selling 10 boxes of our mint and orange chocolate to Bulgaria. It's like, it was fantastic. No support marketing.
Yes.
Just selling it, and it's always you can always sell a pallet of food somewhere or product, but it's the support and it's the repeat orders.
Yeah.
And then Europe had its own big movement in that space, and everyone wanted to buy more local, so it became a lot harder, and you need face and people on the ground. We did open an office in the UK, but we realised that we've probably got a lot more to do here.
Yeah.
Brought on a business partner as well. Taught me a lot as well. So we sort of regressed to go forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. How did that go with the ego bringing on a business partner?
Oh, look, absolutely. So much value.
Yeah.
Lots of learnings for both.
Yeah.
We were one of his first businesses outside his major business that he'd sort of sold. But lots of learnings from both. We're still together, still working together, which is fantastic. He's got great values, and that's sort of compatible in a lot of ways. And he supported the business when it's needed support.
Yeah.
So we couldn't be more than grateful.
Yeah. With Easter coming up, if I was to buy Sarah something from your range, what should I buy? Because I know you have the height. There's another category that you guys have, the blocks. There was like a brittle one. My mum got it for me for Easter last year.
We've got a lot of line extensions. We've got the snaps. We've got
the snaps.
Obviously the 120 chocolate bars. We've got some limited editions all the time. We talk about old classics. We had a sour cherry and vanilla back in sort of pretty early on after we launched.
Yeah.
And what had happened with supply of vanilla and sour cherry, we ended up dropping that once after the ice cream. So about 2017, 18, and most of the requests we were always getting was about the sour cherry and vanilla. So, with the cherries, they come into season sort of that September, October. So every September, October, we have a limited edition, our sour cherry and vanilla in a 120 gram block. So the real big, large inclusions, the flavors, the creaminess that we had with the original chocolate. So, and then we've got a lot of extensions there. We've got a little panache bars, which is, a pure, hazelnut paste mixed with our chocolate, coated with our dark chocolate.
Yeah.
Nice snacking, good quality, chocolate to your stores because, and then we've got our thins, which, I think it was about 4 years ago back in Belgium. You walk into a store and as soon as you walk in, you see these slabs of chocolate and you buy by the kilo. I thought, I need to replicate that somehow.
Yeah.
And that's where we've got our thins in the trays. And I think that's what you might have mentioned with the peanut brittle. We've got
they're the ones. Yes. Oh my God, they're so yum.
It's like, okay, that's what inspires me looking at that. Like, okay, how can we bring little versions of that to an everyday consumer?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my God, it's so yum. Do you have any new flavors coming out?
We launched a lot. We launched our panache and our Turkish delights in our little 30-odd gram bars. We are playing around with a few more. Probably not that much more this year now. I think we'll settle. I think 11 or 12 products last year.
Yeah.
Everyone's asked slow down a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'm working on some bits and pieces
Yeah.
in the background because it never stops. It's sort of
Absolutely.
always 6 to 12 months minimum out before it comes to life.
Oh, wow.
It takes a while because of packaging,
Development.
Yeah.
development trials. You have quality team, they want to sign off on it.
Of course.
Commercial trials, so you want to trial it and make sure you can make it, and efficiencies and
It's a lot.
eliminate any of the risks of production.
Now, I think I'm one of your perfect consumers and target audience. And we had a health show recording yesterday, and the whole studio was stoked that you were coming in. And we were talking about your chocolate, and a lady mentioned another chocolate brand that sits in a similar category. And she was like, oh, no. She's like, that's full of sugar. She's like, compared to Pana, she's like, there's such a low amount of sugar. Is that something you focus on? So someone who's health conscious that I look, so being vegan's not really important for me. Taste is, but gluten-free is, and I'm all about inflammation and sugar drives inflammation in the body. So I look for low sugar options.
Yeah. It's always at the forefront of the mind. Is it the key focus? No. Our key focus as a brand is, we're always plant-based. We're always organic. And we don't use any palm oil, but we don't mention it. So they're our key call-outs. Some of our products have got sugar. And we played between a lot of agave originally, to coconut nectar,
Maple
to
syrup.
a little bit of maple syrup. Challenging that one because higher water content.
So does it change the
stability.
consistency or something?
Then we've got coconut sugar as well, and a little bit of raw sugar. But to us, as long as it's all organic, and we try to keep it to a minimal where we can. But some products have that little bit higher sugar, but everything in moderation.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's very true.
I
very
love
true.
what was on your website. Love your insides, love the earth.
Yeah,
that is so
That was
good.
an original motto. That's from the beginning. It means the world to me. I think it's important for us to love the insides and not forget about the earth. And as a business, we do a lot of tree planting, more intermediate at the moment in the last few years. But for us, it was every year we want to get X amount of trees in the ground, and because it's a gift that keeps on giving.
Amazing.
And it's a reward. So I think just under 60,000 trees we've planted.
Wow. That's crazy. Now, this is not business related, but I think a lot of people like hearing this. How do you disconnect from Pana Organic?
There's a trait there. I don't know how I established it where I could just, if I walk out, I could just switch off. Yeah. And if the place, touch wood, is burning, I'll deal with it in the morning. Then secondly, family at home, I need to be invested in them. Yeah. I need to be there for them, and my biggest relaxation is the garden. I like to grow my own produce and food as much as I can, and then just enjoy nature at every moment.
I love that.
Yeah.
What's the biggest lesson Pana has taught you? Pana Chocolate, the business, not yourself.
It's funny because I thought I went into it with the right expectation that I wasn't going to be a lot more smaller in my thinking. Because, sort of like I touched on it before, and it's not a negative at all, but mum and dad, working class. So their mindsets
You're
limited.
not
it's like
thought to dream big, and how big can you go?
And I remember it was moving us from Port Melbourne to Richmond, and I thought, this is it. This is big enough. I think within 3 months we'd outgrown the space.
Wow.
So it's probably those, again, just that backing myself.
Yeah, absolutely.
A little bit more, sort of that conservativeness, which can sometimes serve you, don't get me wrong, but it's also then costly when you have to move again in 12 months or 24 months as a business. Yeah.
Absolutely. Do you have any last questions?
You don't let fear take over or anything? Or
no, not at all.
That's what I'm sensing.
Yeah, you seem so chill.
I've been in the fetal position many times.
That's nice to hear. I mean, sorry, but yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's just you program yourself just to say, okay, 30 odd years self-employed. No one's going to pat you on the back. No one's going to pick you up other than yourself. So you just, okay, you've had a bad week, walk away if you have to, but tomorrow,
it's a new day.
Again. You have to.
That's something I've been learning within myself is with reflection. It's like no one else is going to come to rescue you, so you got to do it yourself. So that's where I'm at.
And tomorrow's a new day.
That's
so it's
it.
like,
Yeah.
And my positive belief that something good's going to happen each day. You just
Yeah.
got to put it out
I
there,
like
and
that.
then you'll see something good that does happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where
Or
your
make it
attention
happen,
goes, your
right?
focus goes.
Make it
Yeah.
happen. Yeah. That's
You
so
make
true.
it happen. But you got to believe in it. I think
Yeah.
we've got to manifest belief.
Absolutely.
Manifest what we want. Write it on paper, write it on a wall in the office, carry it. I always find that.
Do you find that a common trait of successful people? They have maybe a spiritual side or a bigger belief inside them.
Oh, absolutely. You can
Yep.
see that in the confidence. You can see that in the language that they use. The language is important. We often find people that beat themselves up all the time. It's just self-sabotage. It's like, no. Keeping yourself positive, happy, belief. I always say people, like, when you find yourself, I say this to the kids as well, especially, like, when you're unhappy or negative space, the one thing that we always do, we always manage to kick our toes on the corner of something.
Yes.
Yes, true.
So
So true.
That's true.
And then you
So-
blame the couch or the
Yeah.
wall. Yeah.
Like,
Look
who
at
put
your own
that there?
state.
Yeah.
If we're in that state, it's going to
Of course, going to
filter through.
manifest in
Yeah, yeah.
negativity.
So-
In your life, you are what you
That's
attract
so
what you
true.
are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is so true. Anyway, it's been such a pleasure to have you on. I loved learning about the business and chocolate, like making me hungry. Do you have any other questions?
No, you've answered all mine, and I'm proud of you, and I've just met you on the ability to scale this.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Very, I would say, back then niche brand to what it is today, and it's very cool.
Yes.
No, thank you. It's been a great journey with Pana Organic, but been pretty special in meeting people and reconnecting
Yeah,
with people.
exactly.
I think that's been one of the most beautiful things. Just to finish off, I think I touched on watching the movie Chocolat, and I grew up in the western suburbs of Melbourne. Not much exposure to a lot of people, but I watched the movie Chocolat, so that was pretty inspiring, and obviously it was written from a book.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to meet her, and we exchanged recipe books
Oh,
in Oxford in the UK.
Oh,
so
my
that sort of
goodness.
was like
a pinch me
it-
moment.
Yeah, it was. I got
Yeah.
photos with.
Oh, that's
with
amazing.
Collins, but it was pretty beautiful. But no, it's been a great journey, and I can't complain. Lots of lessons, lots of ups and
Absolutely.
downs, but overall grateful for the community of support that we have, and for my family for supporting. So
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for coming on,
lovely
Pana.
to meet you. Thank you for your time.
Thank
Thank you.